Hello, welcome to Ask Ade Live, the very best marriage revival program on the internet. My name is Ade Subanjo, and I'm happy to have you here. It is going to be a great day today, and I'm going to answer all the questions that are posted to me live and some questions that I already have in store for you. So, today we are going to talk about how to revive or restore or transform a marriage fast. The fastest route you can take to transform your marriage if it is struggling. I'm going to share that with you today. And I'm going to answer some other questions. Someone cries out, "Help! I need your help." And I'm going to answer that as well. Here's a question. I'm going to share that with you on the slide. Here is the question. Need I need help. My marriage is failing. I have done everything I know. Can you help me? What should I do? I'm going to answer this question. Then I'm going to answer this question. My husband says he hates the sound of my voice and he hates women. I am afraid. Should I stay in this marriage? The last question. If I have some more time, I would answer this one. My husband said it is disrespectful and wrong for me to say no to his mom's weekly visit request, and he doesn't want to go alone. What should I do? Those are the questions I have for you today, and we are going to have a great time. Before we do that, let's start with a word of prayer. Let's start with a word of prayer. Father, I thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity to share with your children as we discuss these questions and any other questions that will arise. I pray that you will grant me the grace to speak in your ways, in your wisdom, and that there will be transformation for all of my brothers and sisters that will be watching this in the replay and those who are live with me right. Take all the glory, Lord. In Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So we're here today, and as usual, I will be answering a question. And if you have any questions, you have the priority if you are live with me today. Let's start with where are you joining from? Let me know where you are. What part of the world are you joining from? I have a few people join from different parts of the world. And I am live here every Monday, sometimes Tuesday, depending on where you are. 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's where I am. That's the time here in Ontario, Canada. 10 p.m. UK and West Africa, 11 p.m. Nigeria, 1 a.m. actually Kenya, and 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Tuesday, Philippines. Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm always excited to be here with you live so I can get to know how you're doing, what you're doing, the questions you have. I want to answer them because I want to move you up this pyramid from struggling to soaring or from unhappy to heavenly. This is the goal. That's what I want to do. I want to move you from wherever you are to the next stage. Even if you're having a very beautiful, blissful marriage, you can always do better. And it is my goal and my passion to help as many people tap into unconditional love, what we call agape, so that you will have the best marriage, the best relationship that anyone can have. The good news is, as children of the Most High God, we have access to agape. And if we allow ourselves to receive this and we allow ourselves to learn how to release it from our lives, your marriage will be transformed. All right. So, this is what I'm going to be doing today. It is my desire to do that. It's my joy to do that. Now, before I answer the question I'm going to start with is I need help. My marriage is failing. I have done everything I can. I know. Can you help me? What should I do? So I'm going to answer this question. And the way I want to put it is the fastest way to transform your marriage from struggling to blissful is what we call agape, and what I call the love workout method. And let me show you usually how a marriage works. When we get married, two people get married, the first thing that you see is that they are so excited before they get married. They're excited, they are so happy to be together, and for the first couple of months sometimes it's good, but some people they begin to struggle right from their honeymoon, and they have symptoms before the honeymoon, before the marriage, but they don't see it. They ignore those symptoms. And then when they get married, they begin to see some difficulties in their marriage. And so, let me tell you how it works. The first thing that you notice is when you are in a marriage, you are just having a good time and things are going very well just at the beginning. And then you begin to discover certain things in your spouse that you don't like, or they do certain things that really hurt you. Maybe they do it because of their past, or there's a mistake. Somehow, in the very first couple of days, weeks, months of marriage, somebody does something that really shakes the other person. And if that's the case, then that person is hurt, disappointed, and they begin to react based on that disappointment. Now, when that happens, when one person begins to react based on the disappointment, they're trying to forgive and forget. Usually, because we are humans, we would the other spouse will do something again to further strengthen some of the fears that they have triggered in the marriage, and therefore we begin a cycle. So one person reacts, the other person is disappointed, and then they react in a way that hurts the one who started the ball rolling in the first place. And that's how you begin to see one person, the man is angry, the woman reacts, the woman gets angry and reacts, the man gets angry and reacts, and they try to make it work. Sometimes if there's just the beginning, everybody says, okay, you know what, we're gonna resolve this. Sometimes they get help from the pastor or from the marriage pastor in the church, and they get some things resolved. And when that is resolved, it looks as if it's all right for a season. If it's well done, if it's thoroughly done, it looks all right. But you know what? The weaknesses have not been removed, and because the weaknesses have not been removed, maybe the man promises, you know what, it's not going to happen again. I see how this has hurt you. It was not my intention. It's not going to happen again. But because they are human, it's going to happen again. The weakness is not completely removed. So something similar, or not exactly, but in that direction may happen again. Then the wife, or the husband in this case, will get more disappointed, and the cycle begins again. This is how people gradually move down the pyramid. Happened to me in my own marriage. When we started, it was really exciting. Before we got married, we had a great time. I was away from my wife for 4 good years. I was studying here in Canada. My wife was in Nigeria. And as we were going through that, we wrote each other often. There was no internet, easy internet access at that time. People didn't have much, many people didn't have cell phones. And we made it happen. We tried our best to communicate. But then, of course, like everybody, there's always something. Someone will do something, and we began to try to fix the things that we didn't like. When we finally got married after 4 years being apart, we were so excited, we were together. Then we started living together, and one thing led to the other. We began to struggle until God opened my eyes to see that if we do not change as individuals and learn to handle each other's weaknesses, this was going to be a very difficult marriage. And that is what I'm going to share with you today. How do you transform a marriage fast? Um, but I'm not going to do the whole package. I'm just going to answer some of those questions. So people go down the pyramid, one after the one, step after the other. So conflicts begin, disputes begin to increase, and as they're increasing, it's no more heavenly, it's now just joyful, and then from joyful it goes down, up and down, up and down, happy today, not happy tomorrow. And then they begin to live as roommates. Eventually become so unhappy, there's disputes almost every time, and then those disputes, words are spoken, behaviors that are hurtful, and actions are taken that are scary. And that's when people begin to think, am I going to stay in this marriage forever? Am I going to be in this forever? And begin to think about divorce. What does God say about divorce? You find yourself beginning to wonder, what does God say about divorce? Does He like me to suffer in pain like this, and do that for the rest of my life? And then people think about their children. Am I going to stay? I can stay in this for the children because I don't want them to be heartbroken, or to feel that we don't love them. But then they're in their mind, you're thinking, so after the children leave, what's going to happen? And they're Christians. This is for Christians, and as Christians, you don't want to think about divorce because you know God hates divorce. You also know that God doesn't want you to not be able to forgive, and so there's a big conflict, there's stress, and that's why people ask these questions: what can I do? Help me! I need help right here. My marriage is failing. I have done everything I know. Can you help me? And my big answer is yes, of course I can help you. That's what I'm here for. I can. And I've helped others, and I want to help you too. I help people one on one, but I can help you even without you seeing me ever. If you take the things that I share on this channel and you have the discipline and you can work, it will take you a long time because many things I'm going to be sharing with you, then your blind side, the blind spot. You're not going to be able to see them clearly. But if you just take the steps and you follow them, even without seeing, you just follow, you will begin to notice a big difference in your own heart. And then, of course, when your heart is different, you approach your marriage different, you approach your spouse differently, and you begin to see a change in your marriage. So, how do I change my marriage, Pass? Marriage is failing. Question I always ask when a person says my marriage is failing, I ask why. What is it that caused the marriage to fail? What is the challenge that you're facing? They can be very many, but usually they will all come down to one or two things. The first one is your spouse is completely lost. They are disconnected with God. They've chosen to do things that are wrong, and you are really struggling to find a way to help them get back on track. That's one of them, but that's not the most. Those are fewer, but they are there. There are many like that. Compared to the other thing, they are not as many. The second thing that I find, and which is way more, is that one spouse is totally disappointed in the other, disconnected. There's pain, there's fear, there's struggle, and they've been trying to make changes in their spouse, and it's not working. So if that's you, I'm going to help you today. You are that person. You are struggling, finding a way to change your spouse. Want them to make a difference, to change the way they react with you. So they are not doing, it's not sin, it's just their attitude, the way they react to you, the way they treat you, the way they don't treat you. No, they're not romantic enough for you. They are not patient. All of that is what I want to help you with. Now, for a person that's totally disconnected from God, they don't want to serve God anymore. They're beginning to really question everything in their life. Uh, Prayer is what you need, and a lot of what I'm going to share with you here combined. And I would encourage you to reach out if you need some help. I usually give free calls, 15 minutes. If you want that, you need to reach out to me. I'll send you a link, and then I can meet with you for 15 minutes just to chat and talk about how I can help you with your situation. Now let's go to this. This person that has sent me this message, they've done everything that they can. How can I help them? I want to say First thing, like I said, what's causing it? How's your heart? Where are you struggling? If you're struggling in your own situation, your own heart, you're feeling that your spouse is hurting you, your spouse is not responsive the way you want them to, you are the one feeling the pain, you are the one feeling the hurt, then I want to start always with the first thing. Can we change the situation where you are able to handle them in their weaknesses? Would you be able to live with your spouse the way they are and be okay? If your spouse is not going to change, they're not going to do what you want, but you can be happy. If I can help you to be happy on your own, would that be good? This is what I want to always ask. Because if you can find joy in your own self, if you can find joy connect by connecting with God, then you can be in the right state of mind to help your spouse. Right? Let me backtrack that a bit. If your reason for reaching out, if the reason why you really want help is because you want to change your spouse, then you want to stop that and move to a different space where you say, you know what, I don't need to change my spouse. What I want is to be satisfied, to be happy as a person. Because if that happens, you will be in a better position to help your spouse change. You're not going to be trying to command them to change. You're not going to try to harass them to change. You're not going to try to guilt them into changing, but rather you're going to inspire them to change. And in order to inspire anyone to change, you want to be in a good place yourself. So the first thing I would want you to do is get to a space where you don't complain. So how do you know that you're not you are happy in yourself? How do you know that you're not depending on the other person's behavior to make you satisfied? The way you know is the kind of conversations you have in your head with regards to your spouse. If the conversations you have in your head with your spouse is things like, you need to change this. How can't why can't a person like you do blah blah blah? For example, why can't you cook like any other person can cook? Or why can't my spouse be as romantic as others? Or why can't my spouse spend more time with me? Or why can't my spouse pray as much as I pray? Or start do prayer times with the children, or help me with the house chores. If that's where you are, if that's what's making you unhappy, then we can change that. Because what you need to do is make up your mind that I will take responsibility for my own joy and live my life happy, even if I don't have my spouse. Yes, only two happy people can make a happy marriage. Two happy people, two people who are satisfied and comfortable in God, satisfied in God. When they come together, they make a very happy marriage. If one person is waiting for the other to make them happy, if one person is depending on the other person's behavior to make them happy, they're going to drag the marriage down. And they're going to make things harder to accomplish. But it's not impossible. If one person chooses to stay in touch with God and allow their joy to be focused on and to be in God, they can inspire the other person. And that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing there. By the way, if you're with me, let me know where you're joining me from live. And if you're live, hashtag live. If you're catching this on the replay, hashtag replay. Hashtag replay. So think about what are the things that you're always thinking in your mind when it comes to your spouse, if you're struggling. But if you're not struggling, if you're doing okay, but things are not doing well. For example, I met someone the other day. There's no dispute, but there's no intimacy. There's no dispute, but there's no intimacy. Well, the intimacy is not as frequent as as one spouse wants. So almost once, or in maybe in few months. And so it's like lack of intimacy. So in this case, where will we start from? We have to start from the fact that What if there's not going to be any intimacy for the rest of your life as a married couple? Where will your heart be? And now, if you cannot say, you know what, I will be okay with God if that's the situation, and if that's what's happening, that my spouse is not willing to be intimate with me for the rest of their life because I've chosen to marry this person and I've chosen to love them, then I'll be okay with that. If you are able to sit in that space, then you are also going to be in the very position to be innovative in helping them overcome whatever is causing them not to want to be intimate. Because there's something that's stopping them. But if you're not in the space where you are comfortable in yourself and happy and joyful in the Lord, willing to serve the other, regardless of whether they're going to change or not, you will not have that wisdom and the kind of the state of mind to make those inspirational moves that will change your spouse. And if once you get yourself into that space, every other thing begins to work really fast and really quickly, because you will be at peace and you will begin to have ideas and you can have thoughts, begin to have things that you can try, that not try to just control your spouse, but for them to see that you love them and you're not going to stop loving them, you're never going to reject them. So the key to the way the love workout method works is you present yourself as a person who's going to love. I'm going to love you for the rest of my life. I've chosen you and I'm not going to abandon you. Those are the type of things you're saying. I would continue to work with you as long as you're willing to work with me. I will support you through whatever problems you're going through as long as you're willing to invite me into that. And even if you choose not to love me and you walk away, I will not stop loving you. However, if you choose to walk away from the marriage, then I will let you walk away if that's what you want. I will fight for you for as much as I can. But once you have decided that that's what you want, then I will release you. But I will never stop loving you. Now, that's what you want to say. But you don't say them with words, you show that. That's the fastest way to change any marriage. Because only someone that's really, really having very difficult situations, very bad problems, really heavy, heavy, heavy issue with their mind would find that kind of love and run away from it. They won't, nobody wants to run away from unconditional love. A lot of times when people react and fight with you and struggle with you, is because they feel threatened. They feel that you're going to reject them. They feel that you're not thinking about them. You're only thinking about yourself. They feel that you are going to do whatever it takes to get what you want at their own expense. So if you can send this message that I love you and I'm not going to abandon you, I'm not going to run away from you, I'm not going to try to defraud you, then you're going to have a blessing. You're going to be blessed in the sense that you will feel the power and the joy that comes from loving like that. And you will also see the power that comes because you're going to be able to inspire your spouse who is a Christian, who loves God, who has the Spirit of God in them, to do the same. That's how you transform your marriage as fast as possible. Now, the question you may ask me is, how do you say that without saying it with words? How do you say that without saying it with words? And that's what I'm trying to do by telling you, first thing first, you look at the things you do in your heart. When maybe, for example, a wife that comes back home late from work and the husband is tired of that because he feels that the work of the wife is taking her from the home, and she's supposed to be the caretaker, and he has been trying his best to support her, and she's not changing. So whenever she comes late, he's already in his mind thinking, why won't this woman listen? Why can't she just speak up? And what's this job about? It's not like the money that we have is not enough. Why is she doing that? Now, when your mind is in that state where you're complaining and you're finding fault, you're not going to be open to helping your spouse overcome the challenge that they have. If you can get into the mindset that, yes, if this woman is struggling to vocalize or speak up at work and get some time off, one, or maybe she just loves this work so much and she's not going to have time to come home. She doesn't know how to speak up, or she really likes the job and she doesn't want to come home. She's not interested. Whatever she is at, I'm not going to allow my joy to be dependent on that. I'm going to trust God for joy, and I'm going to be able to then enroll myself in helping her become better. Whatever makes her want to stay at work all the time and never come back home, it's not healthy. So I will help her find a solution to that. If you are in this state of mind, you will find a solution. This is how we transform marriages fast. First thing is to take care of your thoughts. Now, after you've taken care of your thoughts, then you want to begin to figure out how to help your spouse. Now, if you are live with me, I want you to please type hashtag live so I know that you are there and that you can hear me and that you're interested. This is helping you. Please give me some feedback if you're there. And if you're catching this on the replay, then please let me know that you caught this on the replay. I would like to meet with you. I would like to get to know you, that you're there, and welcome you officially to the family. Well, let me talk about another question. So this is the first thing I wanted to talk about. To transform your marriage, you want to first transform your thinking, the way you think. Let me show you the roadmap that I use to help people all the time. This may not be too clear. Let me do the slide with, yeah. So the first part in transforming a marriage is the heart. Your heart, not the heart of or your spouse. Your heart. If you can work on your heart, you will be in the position to help your spouse. And many times what happens is that the the problems we see in marriages occur and are visible at the friendship level. And at the friendship level, you can notice lack of intimacy is one that is here at the last point, or beginning to do things and hide them from you. Some things are not done properly. Friends, and my husband is not pulling his weight at home. My wife is not pulling her weight at home. She's not able to clean the house as she promised or she ought to. He's not fixing the things he said he will fix in the house, and opposite. Sometimes there's the wife that says she will fix and not doing that. Whatever is that happens at the area of partnership, and then connection. We're just like roommates. We get angry at each other. The words that we speak, neighbors, in-laws are getting into our marriage. All of this happen and are visible at the friendship level. But that's just the friendship level. That it's like a building. The roof has issues. The roof is shaking. The roof is not where it's supposed to be. Those are the symptoms, but that's not where the root cause of the problem usually is. The root cause of the problem is usually at a lower level. So when you want to transform a marriage, you want to start from the heart, your own heart, because when your heart is right, you will be able to handle more of the weaknesses of your spouse. And beyond that, your connection with God. So when you are totally connected with God, then you can tap into God's strength to handle the problems that your spouse has. So this is what I usually use as a framework to answer any question, to help anybody. So here is the next question I want to talk about before I leave today. Usually like to do this for about 30 minutes. I really would like to come to interact with you. So if you are there online, let me know. I wouldn't know that you're there if you don't say hi. Say hi or hashtag live if you are live with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so here's someone says, my husband says he hates the sound of my voice and he hates women. I am afraid. Should I stay in this marriage? Now, asking that question makes me know that you don't want to leave the marriage for some reason. There's a reason why you are wondering if you should stay in the marriage. And I believe that may be because you have a belief that God hates divorce. You understand that, and that divorce is not usually the best thing to do. Leaving your marriage is not the first option. Or maybe because you have invested a lot in your marriage and you're wondering, is it what is it doesn't make any sense to, because from my own point of view, if we don't have any context to this, when the husband says, I hate the sound of your voice and I hate all women, really, there is to me it sounds like, I don't want you. I don't want you in this marriage. I don't want to see you anymore. But you may know better. And I think for a person to say that, they may be very angry and they're just looking for something to hurt you. They're trying to find a way to really hurt you. And so they say things like this. However, anybody that says something like this should be ready for the consequences of saying those things, which is, when a person says, I hate the sound of your voice and I hate women in general, they are trying to say that I don't want to be married to you. And if someone takes that to heart, then the marriage is almost dissolved. So how can I help you? I want to say to you, the first thing I would like to hear from you, if I had the opportunity to talk with you, would be, really, do you want to stay with this person, this husband of yours? Do you want to stay with this husband of yours? Why are you not already gone? Why are you still there? And I'm assuming you're going to say to me that he's not always like this. There are times when he's better. There are times when he's kind. There are times when things go well. Because if not, you would have been gone. You would not be asking this question. And so if it is just, if it's not something that he says all the time, if it's just something that he has said once, then I want to suggest to you that you give it a try, but not just ignore. I don't ever suggest to anybody to ignore verbal abuse or physical abuse. Never, never, never ignore. But when someone says this type of words, it's really verbal abuse. You want to check what was going on. Were you saying things to them? Were you doing something that made them offended and they said this kind of thing? And then you want to then say, you know what, if you do hate the sound of my voice, why did we get married in the first place? What is it that you hate? And if they are not going to backtrack on that when things are better, then you may need to decide if you want to continue with that situation or that marriage. But I believe in my mind that this may be a unique situation because of anger, a unique situation because the person wants to just get back at you. Something has happened. Wants to get back at you, and they said that, and he really got you because you are here, asking this question. And what I want to now ask you is, in your own heart, are you able to settle and figure out if this person, if your husband is not going to love you, would you be happy in God? And if you are not, you're not going to be happy in God, then let's work on that. And if you can then move forward, and I'm going to ask you the question. The next question will be, you think the husband can be helped? And would you want to be involved in helping them? And your answer, if it's yes, then there's hope. Then we can help you to help him. That's how this works. Now, God doesn't want you to be killed in your marriage, doesn't want you to be killed. So I want anybody that is watching this to know that God is not interested in you being killed in your marriage. And so when there's verbal abuse, there's physical abuse, you want to really think about what's next. What do I do next to keep the truth, which is unconditionally, loving unconditionally, but without having to um, jeopardize my life. So you want to check correctly, you want to decide on that. I will encourage you to reach out to a counselor or a pastor, your leader, somebody that you trust, to help you go through that process of making that decision on what to do. Now, separating from your husband doesn't mean that you're broken the marriage. It only means that you're staying in a safe place to work on the marriage. I'm a believer that when we love unconditionally and we love forever. There's never an end to love. And so when you say to a person, I'm committed to you for life, you mean it. But love also gives freedom. So if a person says they don't want to stay with you anymore, they don't want to marry you anymore, then you release them. You let them go, because when you love cannot be forced. So you release them, you let them go. A person that is beating you, hurting you, trying to kill you, is trying to say I don't want to be with you. You release them and you let them go. And then you go into the place of prayer and get God to guide you on what next to do. How will you lead me to do in this? And if God says to you, He will change, wait for Him, then you do that. If God says to you, release them, you are free to go, then you follow that. Now, some people say, and I hear people say that God would never say to release someone. I don't believe that, because Jesus, when He was giving commandments, said, you this if you did divorce anyone except for infidelity, then you have committed adultery. So there is an except there. So there are situations where a person has abandoned the home, has gone, and the Lord says, let them go. If that's the case, then you let them go. But love is forever. In other words, if you let them go and 10 years from now you see them, you still desire to do the best for them. So this is what I believe God has designed us to do, and to the way He wants us to live our lives. And I believe that if we learn to tap into that type of love, what will be different? The power of God that will flow through us will be more, and the marriages will be better. All right, powerful things will happen in your marriage. If you're there with me right now, hashtag live. If you are catching this on the replay, hashtag replay. If you have a question for me, I'm very, very willing to answer your question. Take note that questions that are asked live take precedence over questions that has been asked by email. If you want to ask me any question and you don't want to ask it live, you can send to my email. If you are not on my mailing list, the best thing that you can do is go to my website, adesobanjo.com, adesobanjo.com. I'm typing it in the chat, slash friend, 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 I believe. And you will be able to download my friendship cheat sheet. And of course, once you download my cheat sheet, you will get my email, and then you have my email. You can reach out to me. I will be happy to answer your question either live here or in the email. One last question before we go. If you are there, you want to connect. If you are there, you want me to answer your question then? If not, I'm going to just answer this question. My husband said it is disrespectful and wrong for me to say no to his mom's weekly visit to request, and he doesn't want to go alone. What should I do? He doesn't want to go alone to visit his mom, and he wants you to go with him as his wife. And when you say no, I don't want to go weekly, he says that's disrespectful. I do not agree with that. This is not disrespectful. This is you voicing your own feelings and opinions. And I know that you have the reasons why you are saying that. Now, I don't know those reasons. Those reasons they may not be ideal, but they are your reasons, and you can own them. However, there may be things that are being that come up that make you do that. Usually, when we are in relationship and there's friction, there's something that makes us not comfortable. First thing we must do is look to see if those are symptoms of residue of problems, pains, and wounds that have been in our emotions in our lives before we met those people. And so, if your weekly visit to your mom is stressing you in some ways, we need to fix those. But I want to say to you that that's not disrespectful to say, you know what, I don't want to go weekly. I want to go bi-weekly, monthly. There's nothing disrespectful about that. But I don't know how you said it to him. Maybe you just said, no, I don't want to go. I'm not going. You go on your own. Then that's disrespectful, the way you speak it. So it's the maybe the way, but if not the way you spoke it, if it's just the fact that you don't want for some reason, and you have your reasons, um they are not supposed to be private. They're supposed to be shared, of course, with your spouse, your husband. If you say to him why, the reason why, then that's the reason you don't want to go every week. And but I would suggest that you propose something better, and maybe those days that you don't want to go, he can go alone. It's good to be able to go with him, go with the children, so that the grandma can see them. If you have children, if you don't have children, then maybe she wants to see both of you, just so to make her day. You want to go and do that. You want to, if you want to. If you don't want to, it's not disrespectful. But if your husband sees it as disrespectful, you cannot ignore that. You cannot. If you ignore that, you're only creating a recipe for disaster in your marriage. So you don't ignore, you resolve. So when you see that situation is there, what do? You engage. Why do you think that's respectful? Disrespectful. Why do you want to go every week? You find out his thinking. Usually when someone is saying the one thing, maybe what they are saying to you is you're hearing something else. So you want to go deeper. I like to say to remind everyone that what most people want is love. If you can give them love, they will understand. For example, if your husband all just wants to support, and the fact that wants to know that you love whom he really loves, if that's the case, then you can solve that problem. So when you listen to him, you will know what he wants. I want to know that you love me. I want to know that you love my mom because I love her so much. If that's the case, then you can articulate that and show that in some other way without going. Now, going because your husband says disrespectful doesn't solve the problem, because inside you, you're still going to be feeling that stress and that struggle. And this is how marriages begin to struggle, because when you keep your mouth shut, you don't resolve an issue, and you just try to blend in, you're going to be building something up that's going to blow up later. All right, so what I would say to you, it's not disrespectful, but it should not be ignored. It should be resolved. Find out what your husband wants. Everybody wants to be loved. Everyone, what he wants to love, wants to know that they are loved. So find a way to say that without having to go every week to visit your mother. All right. I've answered so many questions today. It's been a long one today. Thank you so much for those who have been online with me live. I thank you those who have watched this up to this point. For you to stay to this point, it's because you are being blessed. I respect and I honor and I appreciate that. If you have questions for me, do not hesitate to reach out to me and ask. Yes, you want to connect with me, adesobanjo.com/friends, not friends. Subscribe to the channel, allow notification. Every Monday, I'm here. You can connect with me also on the Facebook group, Facebook page, several places. I'm always there. Ade Sobanjo. If you search for me anywhere, you'll find me under that handle. Ade Sobanjo. Everywhere. All right, so that's it for today. Welcome once again. May the Lord bless you. I'm going to say what a prayer. Father, I thank you for those who have been with me till this point. I declare over their marriage peace. I declare joy. I declare increase and impact for every single person who is working through all of this by learning how to love like you love and live like you live. Thank you, Heavenly Father. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen and amen. All right. So thank you. Thank you once again for joining. And I look forward to seeing you again or connecting with you on Monday next week. Bye for now.